Today, we're going to unpack the story of VK, Russia's #1 social media platform. And it's a wild story, really, about how a freewheeling startup became a powerful tool with incredibly deep ties to the state. And that really brings us to the central question here. What happens when a platform that connects millions of people is effectively taken over by the government? The story of VK is a fascinating and maybe a little chilling case study in exactly that. To really get why this matters, you have to understand just how huge this platform is. By 2018, VK had more than 500 million registered accounts. That is a massive digital space, and it's central to the daily lives of millions upon millions of people. So the original name, vKontakty, is pretty straightforward. It's a Russian phrase that just means in contact. A simple name for a simple mission, keeping people connected. So, where did it all begin? Well, like a lot of great tech stories, this one started with a little inspiration from a certain giant over in Silicon Valley. When VK launched back in 2006, it didn't just compete, it absolutely dominated. It blew past its rivals and pretty quickly became the go-to social network for the entire Russian-speaking world. And who was behind all this? Well, the platform was the brainchild of two brothers, and they had a very, very different philosophy for it in the beginning. So you got these two brothers, Pavel and Nikolai Durov. They saw what Facebook was doing, and they decided to build something similar for Russia. But the crucial thing here is that their early vision was all about freedom, about openness. And that vision, well, it was about to be put to the ultimate test.
And this is where the story takes a really dramatic turn. This is the story of the gradual and then total takeover by groups with extremely close ties to the Russian government.
Just look at how fast this all went down. We're talking about a period of roughly a year and a half. It started with co-founders selling a huge chunk, then Pavel Durov himself sold his remaining shares. And before you know it, Mail.ru, a company with known state allies, had a controlling stake. By September 2014, they owned the whole thing. So why did Durov leave? According to him, this wasn't just some boardroom squabble. He claimed it all came down to a standoff with the authorities. He said he was being pressured to hand over the personal data of Ukrainian protesters, and he refused. This was way more than a corporate move. It was a political showdown. And then things get weird. On April 1st, April Fool's Day, of all days, Durov submitted his resignation as CEO. It really looked like that was it, the end of an era. But hold on. Just 2 days later, he publicly takes it back, saying the whole thing was just an April Fool's joke. You can imagine the confusion, right? Is he in? Is he out? What is going on? Well, the answer came less than 3 weeks after that. The board just dismissed him. They basically said he hadn't withdrawn his resignation properly. So joke or no joke, Durov was officially out. And soon after, he left Russia entirely. And if there was any doubt left about where the company was heading, this move erased it. By the end of 2021, massive state-owned entities, Gazprombank and Sogaz, took direct control. The transition was 100% complete. So what does a state-controlled VK actually look like? Well, its actions, both on the world stage and inside Russia, they paint a pretty clear picture. Internationally, the platform has faced a ton of pushback. Ukraine banned it outright in 2017. Other countries, like Italy and Latvia, have also blocked it or limited access for all sorts of reasons, from copyright violations to sanctions against its new state-aligned owners. And these bans have a huge real-world impact. Take a look at these numbers from Ukraine. Before the ban, more than half of the country's internet users were on VK every single day. After the ban, that number just cratered, down to 10%. It just shows how political decisions can completely redraw the digital map. I mean, the contrast between the two eras is really night and day. The Durov era was, at least on the surface, all about user privacy and open communication. But the state-controlled era, it's been marked by accusations of working hand in glove with law enforcement, where users have reportedly been prosecuted for something as simple as a like or comment. And this integration with the state is getting even deeper. The Russian government is now actually building official tools right on top of VK's platform. They're creating a kind of state-sanctioned digital ecosystem to replace foreign services like Zoom or WhatsApp. It's all part of this bigger push for what they call a sovereign internet. The whole story of VK really forces us to ask a much bigger question. As more and more countries try to get more control over the digital world, is this what we're going to see more of? Could more of these open platforms transform into instruments of the state? It's definitely something to think about.